Another awesome mid-range battle. This is Google Pixel 7a versus Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G. Let's start with our first test, color profile or saturation, and Pixel 7a is closer to what images looks like in real life. The images are well balanced, sometimes on the dull side, but colors are pretty good. While the Redmi phone is brighter and sometimes more saturated than Pixel 7a because of the AI. I would say sometimes this helps boosting the colors of the images, but sometimes unrealistic and too good. The reds on Pixel 7a is more defined. Looking at all sensors, the sky is bluer on Pixel 7a, while the greens are popping out more on Redmi phone. Across all sensors from the ultra-wide, wide, and digital crop, Pixel 7a maintained the overall look on all focal lengths. This is the audio test of these two phones. Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G doesn't have any speech enhancement or any noise cancellation on the microphone. While Google Pixel 7a has speech enhancement, it can also shoot at 4K 30 FPS. Pixel 7a banks on its computational photography, but you can always manually toggle the colors and highlights, but it's an extra step. While Redmi phone is banking on its AI and filters that you can choose from whenever the situation calls for it. I'd say in automatic mode, Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus is more versatile. Let's start with the video test using the main sensor 4K 30 FPS. Google Pixel 7a is as good as any other flagship phone, the colors are good, and the stabilization is awesome. While Xiaomi Redmi has a wider field of view, and you can also see that the video is a tad brighter than Pixel 7a, but the stabilization is just okay. Next is flaring, and on this test, Pixel 7a manages the flaring better, shooting directly at the sun. Although on the main sensor, sometimes it gives you harsh rays and circular on Xiaomi Redmi. But overall, just shooting regular mode or even portrait, Xiaomi Redmi will tend to get flaring more than Pixel 7a. Continuing with my comments about highlights, Pixel 7a with its HDR mode balances the bright light source than Xiaomi Redmi. And in terms of exposure, again, with the HDR mode of Pixel 7a on darker conditions, without the night shot, Pixel 7a tends to expose the subject better. It has better dynamic range. Next is ultra-wide 4K 30 FPS video, and continuing with the colors and stabilization, Pixel 7a looks the same like the main sensor, but this is wider than Xiaomi Redmi. While Note 12 Pro Plus, although a bit muted in colors, the stabilization looks the same as Pixel 7a. So pro tip, if you're using Xiaomi phone, on video, use the ultra-wide lens. Long exposure shot is something that these two phones offer, and I would say Pixel 7a has a cleaner implementation for long exposure, but the trails are just limited for a few seconds. While Xiaomi Redmi can control the time on long exposure, you can open the shutter for how much time you need, but the images tends to be noisier. Going for a close focus shot, Pixel 7a bows down to Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus because Xiaomi has a dedicated macro sensor. This is video stabilization across all sensors from ultra-wide to digital crop, and this is a slower walking movement, and both phones are really good. But if we punch into digital crop, two takeaways on this test. Pixel 7a is a little bit jittery compared to Xiaomi, but the quality of the video is noisier and grainy on the Redmi phone. Quickly checking these two phones, I like Pixel 7a because of the speed and the timely updates, while I like the Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G because of the bigger and better screen and a slightly better battery performance. In terms of price, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G is slightly cheaper than Google Pixel 7a. So yeah, outside this camera comparison video, which do you think is better? Next is sharpness and checking the main sensor. If we punched in, Xiaomi Redmi is sharper than Pixel 7a. Going for the ultra-wide lens, same story. If we punch in, I still feel that Xiaomi Redmi has more details than Pixel 7a. And going for the digital crop, Redmi has a better reach of 10x, while Pixel 7a only has 8x, and still, Xiaomi Redmi is readable. I guess the sharpness is coming from the better resolution 200 megapixel sensor. Talking about details, this is a 12 megapixel battle of these two phones. Pretty much the same. Well, if you use a 200 megapixel Ultra HD shot, you will see that Xiaomi Redmi has so much details and doesn't have aggressive sharpening going on. Next, we're freezing time, and this is the slow motion test. And this is the super slow motion. Xiaomi Redmi can capture up to 960 FPS in 720p. This is the selfie video recording, and Pixel 7a won 3 things. It can shoot 4K 30 FPS, it has wider field of view, and the stabilization is better. While Xiaomi Redmi can only shoot up to 1080p, it's a little bit punched in, and the stabilization, honestly, is not that good. This is the portrait mode. On first look, you will see that Xiaomi Redmi has creamier background blur, but let's dissect the portrait mode. Xiaomi Redmi has a wider field of view on portrait mode. Well, if you look on the intersection of the taxi and the hair, you will see that Pixel 7a is doing better on subject separation. I like the small bokeh balls on Xiaomi Redmi, but the bokeh on Pixel 7a is more realistic. On challenging situations, you would see that Pixel 7a cuts out the subject better, looking at the blue jacket and the cap. And here, the sling of the bag. Pixel 7a provides better contrast, and the selfie camera is a toss between these two phones. Xiaomi Redmi is a little bit brighter than Pixel 7a. I don't think Pixel phones claims the night shot throne anymore, but it will still be one of the top phones that perfectly execute night shots. Pixel 7a is brighter on ultra-wide and main sensor. You would see that Xiaomi Redmi is softer than Pixel 7a, and although sometimes Xiaomi Redmi is brighter, but Pixel 7a is sharper and has more details. This is the side-by-side selfie video recording, and Pixel 7a exposes the subject a bit better than Xiaomi Redmi. And we're going full screen on the rear cameras for you to see the totality of the video recording. Pixel 7a is grainy in low light situation. And this is Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus, and I think it's cleaner and better than Pixel 7a. And lastly, versatility. Both has wide and ultra-wide, but Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G has 10 times reach and has macro shot capability. This is the ultimate camera shootout of Google Pixel 7a versus Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G. Two of the most popular and best-selling Android mid-range phones today. Let's do a recap. Pixel 7a is natural looking, better noise cancellation, better 4K video stabilization, wider field of view on ultra-wide, manages the flaring better, cleaner long exposure shot, manages the highlights better, better dynamic range and exposure, better resolution in slow motion, 4K selfie video, better portrait mode, better night shots, and better selfie low light video. While Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G has AI to detect the colors, more image filters to choose from, longer long exposure, better stabilization on digital crop, produces sharper images, slower slow motion, wider field of view on portrait mode, better rear camera low light video, macro mode, and 200 megapixel sensor. Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus 5G, in terms of sheer raw performance of the main sensor, it is better. It has 200 megapixel sensor, and as you can see on the low light video and zoom, it performs better than Pixel 7a. The camera app also has a lot of tricks. It is enjoyable to use. While Pixel 7a is more straightforward, you get what you paid for, and that is exactly the computational photography of Google. I think in terms of reliability, Pixel 7a is superior. And there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll continue to compare these two phones in our channel, so stay tuned. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.